Hey, hi everyone. Myself Abhishek, your biology neat mentor, and today we are going to start a new lesson and the new lecture. And the name of the chapter is Structural Organization in Animal. And do you know that what is the weightage of this chapter? Each year, from 4 to 5 questions come from this chapter, and the weightage of this chapter is 5 to 6%, right? So each and every topic is very much important, and you know that how much even 1 marks is important to crack the NEET examination. So let me share my screen. Be focused and be energetic. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen. So students, I hope that my screen is visible to everyone, right? So as you can say, see the name of the chapter is Structural Organization in Animal. You know that every living organism is made up of what? Cell. We know that in biology we study that the smallest unit of life is cell. So the basic structural organization of any multicellular living organism follows this sequence. That they have a smallest unit called cell, group of cell form what? Tissues. Tissues form an organ, then organ makes your organ system and makes an organism. You can see I'm an organism standing in front of you, not standing, sitting, right? Chalo. Then we have structural organization in animal. Let's see what is written here, then we will further proceed into the chapter. So for a living thing to be called a living, it must have a cell because a cell is a living and group of cell form tissues. And every organism start with a fundamental unit of life called cell. That's nice. Okay. So a bunch of cells that perform the same function accumulated and forms a tissue, different tissues from different organs and organ coordinate with each other to perform various functions like your digestion, respiration, excretion, etc., etc. So this is known as organ system. We have different organ system, as you know that we have digestive system, respiratory system, excretory system, reproductive system, right? So what do you mean by cell? Cell is a basic unit of life and it is a functional and structural unit of all living organism. All living organism, not only human beings. I'm talking about the all, from the smallest to the largest. You know what is the smallest living organism? It's a mycoplasma. Yep. Okay. So it is a function and structural unit of living organism where organism of the two types, you know, unicellular and your multicellular. Unicellular means they're made up of only single cell. They are made up of only single cell. That is, example, bacteria, protista. And if I talk about the multicellular organism, they are made up of two or more cells. For example, diplococci, human beings, etc. So cells can work as independent also, or they can work together also. So this is a diagram of a basic cell. This is an animal cell, right? This is an animal cell, and you can see different parts of the cell, as you already studied about this in junior classes also, that a cell contains different cell organelles. It have a membrane-like structure called cell membrane. Then you can see this is a nucleus at the center. Nucleus is surrounded by what? Endoplasmic reticulum. Then we have Golgi bodies also. And we have different types of cell organelles like centrioles, vacuoles, microvilli, lysosomes, mitochondria. It is a powerhouse of the cell for generating energy. So this is a basic about the cell. So tissue is a group of similar cell performing similar function, consists of intracellular substance. Okay, consists of intracellular substance. Then we have that organization of a tissue is different to form different organs like lungs, stomach, heart. And it is important to note that the different organ and different organs and the organ system are basically made up of only four type of tissues. So we have connective tissue, epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, and neuron tissue. So in this overall chapter, we are going to study about these four type of tissue. So very first, we are going to discuss about your epithelial tissue. Let's see the introduction, characteristics, type, and what are the importance of these type of tissues. So epithelial tissue is what makes up this part of the animal anatomy, right? And it may be found on both, that is internally or externally. The body structure of a multicellular organism is more complicated than that of the unicellular organism, and in which every important cellular function such as nutrition, breathing, elimination, and so on, it carried out a single cell. So in this type of creatures, several grouping of cell, each of which perform a unique action and function, are meticulously arranged into the tissues, organ, and the organ system. So let's discuss about the epithelial tissue first. A few of the type of animal tissue known as epithelial tissue, also known as epithelium, and is described as a being one of the tissue that covers both the interior and exterior. So these are the different types of epithelial tissue we have: squamous, ciliated, cuboidal, and columnar. We have glandular tissues also, and ciliated also, right? So what are the characteristics of an epithelial tissue? That epithelial tissue, there are very few, if any, intracellular gap, since the cells are so clogged together. That is, the distance is 20 to 30 nanometer wide only. Intracellular junction are what keep them cell that are close to each other and other connect to one another. So means one cell is connected to another cell and there is very less space. The epithelial cell are the bipolar, which means that they have an apical surface and which faces the interior of the cavity or the exterior of the surface, and basal surface also known as attached surface, which face the surface that lies underneath them. Underneath means inside. Okay. The tissue is supported by the foundation membrane that is a devoid of a cell. An epithelial tissue does not have its own supply of the blood and oxygen also. So this line is important, may come in the MCQs or like that. Okay. So the epithelial tissue may be innervated by the nerve terminal in the certain cases, the point where different epithelial tissue coverage. So we have different type of intracellular connections. For example, we have tight junction, adhere junction, desmonos, and gap junction. So what happens? Let's see. So tight junction is a junction that the apicals are area of a neighboring epithelial cell, the plasma membrane, get closely compact together. These junctions, which are known as a occluding junction also, and are responsible for controlling the passage of material between the cell. Then we have adherent junction, are responsible for facilitating the cemented process and maintaining the connection between neighboring cells, including de desmosomes and hemidesmosomes. Desmosomes are strong junction that aids with the anchoring activities, and gap junction are the junction that present between the neighboring cell in the form of thin hydrophilic channels made with the assistance of protein cylinder terms connexin. Okay, protein cylinders terms known as connexins, and it helps for the passage of ions, molecules, and other substances between the cell. So what are the different types of epithelial tissue? So we have simple epithelial. So it is composed of only single layer. So you know the single epithelial is composed of only single layer of the cell, right? And are packed closely together and reset on the top of the membrane. That is closely named the basement membrane. It may be found on the wet surface that experience a moderate amount of friction, which causes some wear and tear. And in general, it is connected to processing involving the assimilation, excretion, distribution, and the transportation of the materials. So very first we have epithelial squamous tissue that it is formed from the only one layer, that is polygon cell that have been flattened and packed closely together in a close proximity in the area. So, and you know that what is the location that where it may be found included your alveoli, the pericardial active cavity. Then we have abdominal cavity lining up the numerous components of blood circulatory system, preservation, evacuation, and gaseous exchange. And also it has been a secretion of coelomic fluid. Then we have cuboidal epithelium. They are cuboid in shape like this. So on the top of the basement membrane, and there is a basement membrane also present, and it consists of a single layer of the cell that are the cube shape and made up of these cells. The nucleus or the core of the cell may be tough off as a sphere and can be found in the middle of the cell. So it's possible for the free surface of the cell to be plain or to have a microvilli, which are the structure that enhance the surface area. Preservation, intake, elimination, and generation of gametes are the function of this organ. Then we have columnar epithelium. Columnar epithelium are column type. They are elongated, long, and there is a basement membrane is also present. So this is your columnar epithelium. So it is made of single layer of the cell and are stretched and positioned in the same vertical direction. So this is in the vertical direction. Near the bottom of the cell sits a solitary nucleus that may be described as either oval or elongated. So nucleus is present at the bottom side. And goblet cells, which are substrated of its cell, are responsible for production of mucus. Some of the epithelium cells have the goblet cell, okay, and they are responsible for releasing of the mucus, okay. And this cell may be found in a many part of the respiratory system. And you know what is the position of the cell, where the location of the cell? They are found in your stomach wall, the large small intestine, and digestive glands of stomach, intestine, and even in your pancreas, gallbladder. They make the lining of digestive system, what we can say that. Even they make that respiratory tract also. And function included protection of component of glandular epithelium as well as the secretion and absorption of the substance. Then we have ciliated epithelium that is simplified. So on its surface, it carries a cilia. On its surface, it carries a cilia, which are projection that transport material in the certain orientation across the your epithelium. So there are also two type, plain and simple, that they have ciliated and epithelial cells, and they have the cuboidal cell, and their function is to release the mucus, and they have the cilia for the movement of the mucus. Then we have stratified epithelium cell. It is made of the numerous layer of the cell and has been classified into four categories that follows accordingly to the morphology of the cell and are found in the surface layer. Squamous epithelium will stratification. They are keratinized, they are non-keratinized, and they are present in your skin. So keratinized stratified squamous cells are present in your skin, that is epidermis of the skin, okay? Epidermis means, you can see what do you mean by epidermis? Epidermis is the outer layer. As you can see, this is skin, and this outer layer is your epidermis. Okay, got it? So known as which is tough protein that is waterproof and also known as hard. It is very resistant to mechanical abrasions, and interstitial vertebrate. It is responsible for the formation of epidermis of the skin. Then we have non-keratinized, and they are present in the linings of cervix and the vagina. So after this, we are going to study about this was all about the your epithelial cell, right? So this, so in by this method we completed. Let me first stop. So in this lecture, we studied about the epithelial cell, the basic introduction of this chapter. And I hope, student, that you enjoyed the lesson. We will meet in the next further lesson with another topic, that is your muscular tissues. Okay. Till then, everyone, please take care. Bye bye, and read these things thoroughly. Thank you, everyone.